Now, there are occasions where we don't necessarily want Git to back up or track files in a repository. For example, we might have some files containing sensitive data, so maybe personal details or API tokens. Or maybe you don't want to back up files that your operating system makes. So famously, macOS has this DS store hidden folder. Or maybe you've got very large files that you don't want to sync with other people, maybe large data files.
Let's go ahead and tell Git which files to ignore. So we're going to go up to repository and repository settings. And down here there's ignored files. And we're going to write down here patterns for ignored files. So we're going to get Git to ignore any photos. So anything ending in .jpeg, so star.jpg, and we put these on separate lines, or depending on the spelling of JPEG, there's also star.jpg with an E. No PNG files, so star.png is out. These are called patterns, so any file name that matches this pattern will be ignored. Or anything in a folder we're about to create called cake recipes. Maybe we've got some nice cake recipes, but they're quite large files and I don't want to share those. So cake recipes / then star.star. So those are our patterns that we're going to ignore. Git will ignore any new files that fit these patterns. So existing files it will continue to track, but new files it won't. So let's go ahead and save these. Now you see that actually changing this setting is itself a change, specifically to the .gitignore file up here. So we have to commit it. It gives us a default message, create.gitignore. I think that's fine. Let's commit. Okay. Let's go ahead and add a new image to the repository then. Here is our repository. So I'm going to add a new image to it. I found quite a nice picture of a cake. Right. So I'm going to put that cake.jpg. I'm going to drag it in. Here we go. It's in. Good. Let's see. Has it changed? And you see there's no change. What if we go ahead and create the cake recipes folder? So cake-recipes. So I'm going to put some recipes in there. I found another good cake recipe from the internet for a nice carrot cake. It's a PDF file. This is what it looks like. So I'm going to put that PDF file into the folder as well. I'm going to drag that in. I'm going to put it into the cake recipes folder so we can see there it is, carrot cake. Okay, so we've added files to our repository. So let's see whether, but that's good, right? No changes because they're not being tracked. Let's just make sure that we can still do changes to tracked files. So if we go back to Atom, maybe we want to add someone else to the banned list. TD, I think she definitely should be banned. Good, so we go back to GitHub Desktop and that changes there and we can go ahead and commit that. Ban TD. Commit. Lovely. So now it's your turn. I want you to add a folder addresses in your repository in which all text files will be ignored. So any file ending in .txt will be ignored, and then I want you to add some text files to the addresses folder and try to commit them. I'll give you an opportunity to pause now. Okay, so here's how I would do it. Before I create the addresses folder, I would go up to the repository settings and to ignored files and put the addresses folder in here. So anything ending in .txt inside the addresses folder, so addresses /star.txt, is going to be ignored. Once again, this is a change to the hidden .gitignore file. I'm happy with this commit message. I'm just going to commit it. Lovely. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that folder. New folder addresses. And then I'm going to put some addresses in there. So here's an address. Let's go ahead, I've typed earlier, let's go ahead and save that in the addresses folder. It's TD's address, so call it td.txt. Lovely, let's head back to GitHub Desktop and it's been ignored.
And that's all you need for local version control. We can now commit, revert, and ignore. Next up, we're going to place files up on the GitHub website.